Еден од најдобрите стендап комичари, импровизатор и уметник Джими Цапас, The Greek Genius, утре вечер во 20 часот гостува во Джесин со уникатно сатирично шоу насловено "Само една ноќ во Ohrid" во рамки на летниот маратон на комедијата. Со Цапас разговараме за шоуто, но и за стендап сцената и публиката.
Just one night in Ohrid. The thing is that the shows I do, since I go to different countries, really it's the vision of a Greek around the world. Things he sees about life, a philosopher, a comedian philosopher. So in Ohrid, I adapt it to the local culture. What is it? It's the view of any normal person analyzing life, seeing what happens in life, in countries, in politics, in the news. But it's a satire. What I do is satire. I don't call myself a comedian. I call myself a modern-day philosopher. Because, as comedians, we observe human nature. This is what we observe. We just look at it through the eyes of a child. And we try to make sometimes sad things, sometimes difficult things become amusing. And we try to share this view with people and hopefully make them laugh. But I like to make them think as well. What inspires me is what I told you now. It's everyday life. It can be any small detail that you see in people, how people react to situation or the news or the world, what happens in the world, what happened in history. It's like looking at things from the outside and saying, what happened here? And observe human nature. This is what inspires me. When people take themselves too seriously, because very often, unfortunately, people take themselves too seriously, they adapt or they become a character they think they are, or stereotype or archetype, or they follow an ideology, a flag, a religion, a political, this. When people take things too seriously, this is what makes me laugh. Because I feel sad for them, so it makes me laugh. The best things is the people you meet. Because you really meet good people. When you are in comedy, normally it's a very positive vibe. The atmosphere, normally it's very positive. So when you are in a club or in a theater or you go on tour or you go to different places, the energy surrounding the comedy event normally is very positive. And the best thing is that everything disappears. Social status, economical status, religion, this, the other, all this disappears. And all you see is human beings wanting to have a good time and getting to know each other. And I learn a lot. From traveling, from going to places, I learn a lot. And your question before, it inspires me for new ideas. The worst thing, when people, small minds, get upset with a comedian or they get offended with a comedian. This is, I think, the worst thing. But the absolute worst thing is when I see that a venue, whether it be a club, a theater, a bar, whatever, does not respect the art of stand-up comedy. And I think they don't respect it because they don't understand how difficult this is. When you go into a stage, it's the microphone and you, and that's it. And when you improvise, I'm an improviser, well, you have a structure, no? It's like you go into the interstellar. Once you go to the stage, anything can happen. And it's not easy. I have a lot of colleagues in comedy, and this is the worst part, when people don't respect the art of stand-up comedy. This is a difficult question. I think you can joke about everything, provided the base of your comedy, of your philosophy of comedy is respect. From there on, you can joke about everything. Now we are in the period of politically correct and don't offend this and don't offend the other, and everybody gets offended, and everybody, you cannot talk about this, you cannot talk about the other. But then on the other side, you have the freedom of speech, freedom of speech. So what are you, politically correct or freedom of speech? I don't like is when people lack respect when they joke. It's not my style. If you respect an idea, I think you can joke about everything. Everything. This is the second year I come to Macedonia. The first year was last year in Skopje, and I was honored they invited me because it's the first time a Greek was coming to Macedonia, a Greek artist, in this case a Greek comedian. And to me, I was honored because I do a lot, I'm very activist. When I was received in Skopje and now here in Ohrid, what I see is brothers. Because as the Balkans, we are like a small European Union inside the European Union. No? So you have the big boys, and then they always say, yeah, the Balkans. We are there as well, It's people who left the club in the middle of the show, the club, the theater, the whatever, people who got up and got really upset and offended when you're doing comedy. So if you're going to a comedy show, you know you have to have an open mind. You know, you can talk about LGBTIQ, about blacks, Chinese, Russian, Ukrainian, Macedonian, Greeks, fat people, blind people, blondes, red hair. And it's people, these people are dangerous, in my opinion. These people are dangerous because they view any form of art based on their radical ideas. And if these radical ideas eventually reach higher levels of society or politics, this is when it becomes a serious problem. I think people should realize that life is much simpler than that. The stand-up scene in the Balkan is very strong, very, very strong. I live in Madrid, in Spain. I moved last year, and I see what you do here in Macedonia, what they do a lot in Serbia. Serbia is very interesting. Croatia, Montenegro, Romania. I love Romanians, and I love Romania. Bucharest is Jimmy's second home. But what I like about the Balkan stand-up comedy scene that I also see in the Middle East is that the comedy here, it's much more intellectual. You know, there is an education in the humor because we are in this part of the world where you always have problems. So it's not the typical joke that you would see maybe in other countries, very easy comedy. This is easy comedy. Stupid jokes, yes, okay, people laugh, but it's stupid. In the Balkans, in my opinion, like the Middle East, the level of the jokes of the artists is very high. Why? Because it's the situation of the region of the world where they live. So you have a lot of politics inside, you have a lot of religion. It's a complicated place to joke about because we have the history we have. So, in my opinion, Balkans and Middle East, it's of the highest level of sophistication in humor.